What's up? This is Laurier quarterback and Hec Crighton winner Taylor Elgersma, and these are 10 things I can't live without. This is my Bible. Being a football player, it's super important to be in your playbook, but this is kind of like what I like to call like my playbook for life. This specific Bible was actually given to me at the Senior Bowl. It's a Christian Standard Bible. You know, I like that translation. It's a little bit newer translation, newer language for us young guys, but for me, this has been something that has been a very important part of my life ever since, you know, really I was little, but especially since my faith became my own in my second year of university. I've had a great group of teammates, guys surrounding me and supported me throughout my faith as it's grown, and so this has definitely been, you know, an important piece of that. Obviously, being a quarterback, this is, you know, has to be a necessity for me. Doesn't have the stripes on it like I'm used to, so the NFL one's been a fun transition to learn to throw, but make sure this is with me everywhere I go. You know, I always want to have this in my hands. The more you can touch a football as a quarterback, the better, so always a necessity to have in my life. I like the feel of the NFL ball, but I like the laces on the CFL ball. The NFL ball has lower laces. The CFL ball has laces that are a little bit easier to find, but the feel of the ball, the NFL ball spins a little bit better. This one, compared to the CFL ball, definitely feels lighter and smaller. This compared to the U Sports ball is actually pretty similar, because the CFL ball is slightly bigger than the U Sports ball, and the NFL ball is about the same size as the U Sports ball. So for me, the biggest transition was just the actual shape of the football. The NFL ball is a little bit, you know, longer, you could say, less fat than our U Sports and CFL ball. So that was the biggest transition for me. Yeah, so my headphones have to be a necessity for me. You know, I'm a big guy who likes to listen to music as I'm focusing. You know, whether that's pregame, I have a nice routine of walking around the field, listening to, you know, a combination of country and worship music. But I also, you know, like to just go on walks by myself and just kind of decompress. And my headphones are a way that I can kind of just get in my own space. You know, either listen, like I said, to gospel and, you know, walk with the Lord, or listen to my country, Luke Combs, Riley Green, and have a nice, you know, relaxing walk. So those are some ways that I kind of decompress. Yeah, I'll go elevation worship. Riley Greens and Luke Combs. Riley Greens and Luke Combs have been always my staples growing up and in university, but elevation worship, I actually just went to, you know, their concert recently with my girl, and it was a great time. So those are 3 for me. Laptops has to be a necessity for me. You know, this is where I watch my film on, so DV Sports loaded up on here all the time. You know, spend a lot of hours in season and out of season, you know, on this thing, making sure that, you know, I'm watching opponent's film, I'm watching my film. One of my favorite things to do is to go through film, go through game plans, and so all that stuff is loaded on here. So this thing definitely gets a ton of work. And you know, Stream East is also a big fan. I'm a big fan of Stream East, so making sure this thing is rolling at all times is big for me in my life. It's a lot of hours. I think that it's probably easy for me to break it down in like a week, and then we could kind of do some math from there. But I probably watch, you know, a good 3 hours of it a day, you know, by myself, on top of we watch as a team. And so if you went 3 hours a day times 7 days a week, and then did that times my whole career, probably a lot of hours spent on this laptop, and that's why it's dying at a rapid rate here. So the notebook is definitely, you know, ties in right in with my laptop. As I'm watching film, I'm writing down plays, I'm writing down concepts. This is my best friend in meetings, but also it ties in with my Bible. You know, I use my notebook not only for football stuff, but also for, you know, personal growth, personal learning. So, you know, just having this in here, kind of go through plays, draw out my reads, and everything like that. That's, you know, some Senior Bowl plays right there, but, you know, these are my best friend, and, you know, I go through a lot of these in the season as well. So definitely a necessity for me. Gatorade, a lot of athletes probably have this as a necessity for them, but specifically Cool Blue, my favorite thing to drink after a hard workout. Just came from a nice workout with, you know, some of the ex-Laurier guys, Curly Giddens Jr., Shamad Chambers, so had to make sure I got one of these for the road. So Blue Gatorade is my go-to for after a lift or after a throw. I'm gonna go with red just because it's, you know, so sugary, and it leaves your lips and mouth all colored up. The blue is smooth. It's definitely my favorite. My phone, I think probably everyone now has their phone in their top 10 essentials. You know, I'm not a guy that likes to spend a lot of time on my phone, but you know, with calls from your coaches, agents, teammates, your family, you know, this is how you stay connected with the world. And you know, obviously, I definitely enjoy my YouTube and my social media sometimes as well, but I try to stay off this thing as much as I can and be present, but it's always an essential for me. The next essential for me has to be my hat. You know, I'm a hockey player who grew up always wearing hats, and so I don't think there's many times I leave the house without some type of hat on. This is my favorite right now, our Yates Cup Championship hat, and so I don't think I'll take this thing off since we won, and I'll keep wearing it for a long time. I think for me, it's probably one of my favorite memories of my entire life. You know, I think that's something that our school needed so bad. Our program, you know, had worked so hard for, and Coach Falls and Coach Galloway and Coach V had given so much time and hours to this program. And I think that when I, you know, promised Coach Falls and I came in that we were going to win some championships, kind of getting this one in my senior year with that group of guys and all the time that we put in together, I think was, you know, just so meaningful for our class, but also for just the whole program. And you know, it's something I'll remember for the rest of my life. The last thing I got here is, you know, a couple valuables of mine. You know, I'll start with this ring. This is my, you know, my Poppy's wedding band that I got when he passed this year, and you know, I dedicated my senior season to my grandpa, and I think that, you know, this is something that I like to keep and wear, you know, during important moments in my life, and you know, just a reminder of, you know, who I'm playing for and the people that are looking up out for me in heaven, and you know, something that's super meaningful to me. And then, you know, a couple, you know, things that are pretty cool that I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to win. And so, you know, my All-Canadian ring and my Hec ring, these things are obviously, you know, less important than my grandfather's ring, but pretty cool, and a nice reminder of hard work and blessings paying off. And I think that that's why I enjoy them so much, is they're just a little bit of a reminder of, you know, all the time and effort that I put into this, and you know, what the Lord has blessed me with. Once again, this is Laurier quarterback and Hec Crighton winner Taylor Elgersma, and these are 10 things I can't live without.